A mysterious 5,000-year-old skeleton discovered beneath a swamp causes scientists to flee in fear. If you've ever gotten goosebumps from strange discoveries beneath thick ice, deep underground, or in the ocean's dark abysses, then swamps are just as mysterious and terrifying. Imagine, beneath the damp, muddy layers, strange things are waiting to be uncovered. Bizarre creatures and secrets from ancient times. You may have heard of 5,000-year-old mummies, historical relics revealing untold stories, or even a giant tadpole lurking in the darkness. Have you ever thought that a swamp could have the colors of a rainbow, leaving you bewildered and questioning your own eyes? So, what have archaeologists and scientists discovered over the years in these wet, muddy swamplands? Let's explore it together in today's video. The 2,500-year-old skeleton of a teenager. In October of last year, the Police Service of Northern Ireland discovered human bones in a peat bog in Beleggy, quickly attracting the attention of archaeologists. After conducting thorough analysis, experts determined that this was not the skeleton of a modern victim, but that of an ancient person. Detective Nikki Dehan stated that although the cause of death was unclear, the skeleton was exceptionally well preserved compared to other bog bodies. In addition to the bones, researchers found a portion of skin, a left fingernail, toenails, and possibly even a kidney. However, the skull was missing, and the bones were scattered across the bog. Analysis of the bone samples showed that the person was likely a male between the ages of 13 and 17. A key element of this discovery was the use of carbon isotope dating to determine the skeleton's age. The results indicated that the individual died about 2,000 to 2,500 years ago, during the Iron Age. This was the first time this method was applied to a bog body in Northern Ireland, making this find a major breakthrough in archaeological research. Experts then conducted high-resolution, ground-penetrating radar surveys to locate the position and depth of the skeleton, discovering it at a depth of about 1 meter beneath the current surface. The bones were found among tree fossils, indicating that the person may have died and been buried in a grassy area, bush, or was swept into the bog. Therefore, this discovery is significant not only for its dating but also for the unique archaeological landscape of the northern Lough Neagh wetlands, which was once influenced by glaciers. Experts are currently working with the National Museum of Northern Ireland to preserve and continue studying the remains. Archaeologists hope this discovery will provide further insights into the ancient history of the region and contribute to important research on bog bodies across Europe. World War II bomber aircraft. Have you ever imagined an airplane crashing and being buried under layers of mud and wild grass, lying still for decades, only to be suddenly discovered? This is the true story of the Boeing B-17E Flying Fortress, a famous World War II bomber. The story begins in 1943, when this aircraft, under the command of Captain Frederick Eaton Jr., participated in an attack on Japanese ships in New Britain, an area occupied by the Japanese military. However, during a dogfight, the B-17E ran out of fuel and was forced to make an emergency landing in a swamp near the northern coast of New Guinea. Fortunately, the entire crew survived and managed to escape, but the plane, heavily damaged, was abandoned in the swamp and forgotten over time. Decades passed without anyone knowing the fate of this aircraft. In 1987, a search team discovered the wreckage of the Boeing B-17E deep in the swamp, covered in wild grass and mud. However, recovering the plane was no easy task. In 1989, the Trebet Air Base Heritage Center put forward a restoration plan, but it wasn't until 2006 that the Boeing B-17E was finally recovered from the swamp. After being retrieved, the plane was transferred to the United States in 2010, where restoration work officially began. This is not only a story of the crew's survival, but also a testament to the resilience of the Boeing B-17E, an important part of World War II history. 5,000-year-old sacrifice remains. On December 15, 2022, a team of archaeologists from the Roskilde Museum in Denmark discovered human remains in a swamp near the town of Stenløse on Zealand Island, northwest of Copenhagen. Initially, the research team only found a thigh bone, a lower jaw, along with a few teeth, leg bones, and a pelvis. However, they later uncovered part of a flint axe and animal bones, indicating that this was the site of a sacrificial ritual about 5,000 years ago, during the Neolithic period. roughly between 10,000 and 2,200 BC. Although scientists have not yet determined the sex and age of the deceased, they are certain that this death was not accidental but a result of a sacrificial ritual. This is because ancient societies often used swamps as sites for sacrifices involving humans, animals, and other objects. Emil Winterstruve, an archaeologist at the Roskilde Museum, shared, "When they found the bone fragments, they knew they were uncovering something truly fascinating. This is a special experience. Bog bodies are not commonly discovered, and this find dates to the early Neolithic period in Denmark." The 2,000-year-old butter block. While mowing grass in a peat bog in Ireland, a group of workers discovered a 2,000-year-old block of butter with a cheese-like smell, located 4 meters below the bog surface near the town of Drakerath, about 80 kilometers north of Dublin. According to experts, the butter was perfectly preserved. It is likely that the butter was buried in the swamp as an offering to the gods, rather than for preservation purposes. Andy Halpin from the National Museum of Ireland, where experts are conducting dating and analysis of the butter, explained that dairy products like this were never unearthed once buried. The ceremonial burial theory becomes even more plausible because the butter was not wrapped in any packaging. Halpin added, "In ancient times, swamps were mysterious and difficult to access. This particular bog was located at the intersection of 3 distinct kingdoms, making it seem like land not belonging to humans." The discovery of the butter block is not the first of its kind. Scientists have collected hundreds of butter bundles from swamps in Ireland, some placed in wooden boxes alongside intact wooden artifacts, swords, and decorations. However, this butter block is quite different from the others previously found. Experts explain that the preservation of the butter is due to a type of moss called sphagnum, which is common in bogs and tends to grow over objects, enveloping them in a cool, anaerobic environment, preventing bacterial activity and stopping decay. This means that theoretically, the butter could still be edible. However, experts agree that it remains a mystery, and none of them would dare to taste it. Prehistoric 125-million-year-old fossilized mouse. In 2011, a team of fossil hunters from the University of Madrid discovered the fossilized skeleton of Spinolostes xenarthrosus at the Las Hoyas quarry near the city of Cuenca, Spain. What makes this discovery so remarkable is that the skeleton was exceptionally well preserved, to the point that soft tissues like the animal's ears, lungs, liver, and fur-covered skin were still intact. This is one of the most important discoveries in paleontology, as soft tissue preservation in fossils is extremely rare. Further research revealed signs of a fungal skin infection on the skeleton, an intriguing detail suggesting that the animal had suffered health issues before its death. Additionally, the sharp spines along the lower back of Spinolostes are believed to have served as a defense mechanism, protecting the creature from dangerous predators like Pelecanimmus, a meter-long ostrich-like creature with a mouthful of sharp teeth. These spines could easily fall out and impale attacking enemies. In addition to the spines, Spinolostes had small scales on its back, similar to the primitive scales of the armadillo, which protected the animal from environmental hazards. According to Professor Thomas Martin, who studied the skeleton, the animal was so well preserved due to a bacterial film that covered the carcass within hours of its death. This biofilm formed a protective layer, preserving the soft tissues long enough for them to fossilize. Spinolostes, a member of the triconodont mammal class, was small, measuring around 24 centimeters in length and weighing only 70 grams, about the size of a modern mouse. This species was insectivorous and is the first known example of a Mesozoic mammal with fossilized soft tissues, offering valuable insights into the life and ecology of mammals in the past. The bones of the missing girl from decades ago. Margaret Clement was the daughter of a bull breeder in Australia. Her father had invested in a gold company and earned a large fortune, suddenly making the Clement family wealthy and prosperous. In 1890, Margaret's father passed away. In 1907, she and her sisters moved into a 20-room mansion called Tullery in Gippsland, Down Under, a beautiful home surrounded by swamps. By 1920, the Clement sisters had been defrauded of all their assets, and as their financial situation worsened, they were forced to sell nearly all their belongings. By 1950, the family was destitute, and Margaret's sister also passed away, prompting Margaret to sell the mansion and move into a small house. On May 22, 1952, Margaret suddenly disappeared. 2 weeks earlier, her small dog had been brutally slashed across the throat. Several theories emerged, suggesting that Margaret had wandered into the swamp and possibly met with an accident, perhaps due to a snake bite, rat bite, or falling into a waterhole. However, other theories suggested suicide or, more dangerously, murder. Margaret's disappearance shocked Australia at the time. She became known as the Swamp Woman, and people speculated endlessly about the possible reasons for her disappearance. In 1978, a set of bones was found in the swamp. Everyone assumed they were Margaret's remains. However, the investigation revealed that the bones belonged to an indigenous woman. To this day, Margaret Clement's disappearance remains an unsolved mystery. The 5,700-year-old piece of chewing gum. Nearly 6,000 years ago, in a coastal bog in southern Denmark on the island of Lolland, a woman with blue eyes, dark hair, and brown skin spat out a piece of gum. Nearly 6,000 years later, archaeologists from the Lolland Falster Museum discovered the gum, which was made from birch bark by boiling it and using it as a type of chewing gum, a practice common among the Paleolithic people around 760,000 years ago. The scientists recognized the bite marks on the gum, and they were amazed that this organic material was perfectly sealed inside the bog's mud. By extracting DNA from the birch bark, researchers found that it had been chewed by a woman with genetic traits linked to hunter-gatherers from mainland Europe. Plant and animal DNA found in the gum also revealed that before chewing it, she had eaten hazelnuts and wild duck. The gum served as a time capsule, preserving information about the microbiome in the woman's mouth. The researchers were able to detect traces of pathogens from the DNA data, including Epstein-Barr virus and signs of pneumonia. They also hypothesized that the birch bark was chewed to alleviate tooth pain, functioned as a toothbrush, helped stave off hunger, or, like modern chewing gum, was simply something to chew. Researchers greatly value the discovery, as finding the piece of gum provides a rare glimpse into a person who lived nearly 6,000 years ago. Remarkable since no human remains have been found there. Future discoveries at other sites may similarly bring ancient humans back to life, even when no traces of their physical presence remain. The last meal of a 2,400-year-old mummy. In the mid-1950s, a Danish family, while digging peat in a North European swamp for fuel, accidentally discovered the body of a man with many distinctive features. The shape of the skeleton indicated that it was a man, curled up in a fetal position with a rope around his neck. Due to the exceptional preservation of the body, the family initially thought it was a recent murder and called the police. However, when researchers began their analysis, they discovered that this was a mummified man who had died thousands of years ago. Over years of study, the results revealed that this man died around 405 to 380 BCE during the early Iron Age in Denmark. The victim was in his 30s or 40s and had been hanged as part of a sacrificial ritual. The mummy was named Talland Man, after the village where his body was found. Many experts consider Talland Man's peat-preserved remains one of the most remarkable discoveries to date. The most striking feature of the mummy is the peaceful and calm expression on the victim's face, which seems to convey no signs of distress. He appeared to be sleeping and could have woken up at any moment. The cause of death was determined to be hanging. Afterward, Talland Man was placed in a peat bog. This method of body disposal was quite unusual, as during that period, it was common to cremate the dead and bury them in dry ground. Peat, unlike typical waterlogged soils, has high acidity and very low levels of nutrients and oxygen, making it inhospitable to microorganisms. As a result, peat acted as a natural coffin, preserving the body incredibly well. This is why, despite being buried in peat for thousands of years, the soft tissues and external features of the body were remarkably well preserved. Through an analysis of the contents of his stomach, researchers discovered that Talland Man had eaten a thick porridge as his last meal before he died. The porridge consisted of barley, flax seeds, wild seeds, and some fish, although fish was not a staple food in Iron Age Denmark. Researchers also found parasitic worms in his intestines, suggesting that Talland man may have eaten undercooked or raw meat or drank water contaminated with parasitic eggs. Previously, archaeologists believed Talland man's death was due to suffocation. However, it is possible that some sacrificial rituals took place before he was hanged, including his final meal. This reveals just how mysterious and rich the ancient world was. Anything could happen. The 2,000-year-old shoe, stuck in a swamp, still as good as new. On June 21, 2021, researchers from the Office for Monument Preservation in Lower Austria, along with the archaeological company Denkmal 3D from Vechta, Germany, discovered an ancient shoe beside a wooden path dating back over 2,000 years. The shoe, along with a broken axle, was found in a swampy area. Archaeologists believe the shoe may have been dropped by someone while replacing the axle on the wooden road. Studies showed that the acidic conditions of the swamp helped preserve materials like wood and leather in excellent condition. Building wooden roads through swampy areas was not uncommon in history, but due to the decaying nature of wood, many such roads have been lost over time. However, some wooden roads have been preserved to this day. For example, in May 2021, while installing a heating network in Dortmund, Germany, workers discovered a wooden road that dates back about 1,000 years to the medieval period. This road had been preserved under a layer of clay, allowing carts to cross the swampy area. In addition to the newly discovered 2,000-year-old shoe, scientists also revealed that earlier, the oldest well-preserved shoes in the world had been found. One such shoe, dating back 5,500 years, was discovered in a cave in Armenia. This shoe was made from cowhide, sewn with leather thread, and its laces were still intact. The remains of a 45-year-old airplane. In 1985, in the swampy area of the dense jungles of New Guinea, a two-engine passenger plane that had disappeared nearly half a century earlier was discovered. What puzzled people was that the plane looked as new as it did before it went missing. It showed no signs of aging or distortion. The plane's serial number was still clearly visible and easy to read. This silver plane had disappeared 45 years earlier while en route from Manila, Philippines to Mindanao Island. Inside the cabin, newspapers from the third week of January 1937, specifically a Sunday edition, were still found. A team of Indonesian military aviation experts was dispatched to the site. After inspecting the seemingly new plane, everyone emerged pale-faced and astonished. The area was immediately sealed off. The plane's exterior still looked fresh, with the fuselage completely free of any blemishes. Under the sunlight, it gleamed like a mirror. Investigators initially thought the doors might be rusted and difficult to open, but to their surprise, the door handle turned easily without the usual creaking or squeaking sound found in abandoned aircraft. Inside the cabin, there were no people, alive or dead. However, paper cups, cigarette butts, and newspapers from 1937 still looked like they had recently been used, as they hadn't yellowed with age. Notably, in one ashtray, there was an old cigarette pack, a brand that was popular in the 1930s but had stopped being produced during World War II. The fashion and hairstyles on the pages of the newspapers were clearly from the Great Depression era in the United States. A thermos of coffee was still hot, and the aroma was as fresh as ever. What amazed the investigators the most was the condition of the aircraft. The plane's battery was fully charged, and simply turning the switch on made the lights inside the aircraft illuminate. The fuel tanks were nearly full. All of these findings left the investigators shaken. The plane seemed to have made an emergency landing thanks to its wheels, and fortunately, it landed on soft ground in the swamp, which spared it from any damage. It appeared capable of flying again, just as it was 50 years ago. This remains an unsolved mystery that continues to terrify scientists. Why, after 45 years, does this plane still appear as if it had just landed, with every detail perfectly preserved? 1,500-year-old gold pieces. Beneath an ancient temple in the village of Vingram, on the outskirts of Lillehammer, archaeologists discovered 35 small gold pieces dating back to the 5th to 8th centuries. These gold pieces are square, about the size of a fingernail, extremely thin, and engraved with images of men and women dressed in lavish costumes. Some pieces depict couples facing each other, with the man on the left and the woman on the right, suggesting that these gold pieces could date back to the Merovingian dynasty, which ruled the Frankish kingdom from the 5th century until around 751. Eckhoff, an archaeologist at the University of Oslo, said, "The gold pieces are very small, but the designs are extremely detailed. Typically, women are shown wearing dresses, sometimes with sashes and cloaks, while men wear shorter tunics that reveal their feet, and they may also wear cloaks. Both can wear jewelry, have different hairstyles, and hold various items such as drinking cups, staffs, rings, or make different gestures with their hands. These gold pieces are so detailed and diverse that they serve as resources for studying clothing and symbolism of that time. Discovering such gold pieces in Norway is extremely rare, with only 10 locations having ever found them, mostly at ancient worship sites. Most interpretations suggest that the gold pieces have mythological or ritual significance. Some theories propose that the pieces with couple designs depict the sacred marriage between the gods Frey and Gerd, or were used as offerings in wedding or fertility rituals. However, there are also other hypotheses that suggest these could have been temple currency. Their discovery in buildings and in holes of load-bearing columns suggests that they might have been offerings or items marking specific seating areas, halls, or worship rooms. However, to determine exactly what these mysterious gold pieces were used for in ancient times, archaeologists still need more time for further research before they can provide a definitive answer. The Love Child, 50,000 years ago. A multinational team of archaeologists has successfully excavated and studied the remains of a 13-year-old girl found in an ancient cave in Siberia, Russia. Through their research, they confirmed the discovery of a real hybrid child between two different species within the genus Homo. This is direct and significant evidence supporting the long-standing theory of human hybrids. Although broadly referred to as humans, modern Homo sapiens, US, are just one species within the larger Homo genus. However, we dominate this genus today, as we are the only surviving species of it. The young girl recently discovered is a distant relative of ours. DNA testing revealed that her father was a Denisovan and her mother was a Neanderthal, both of which are extinct ancient human species. The girl's parents, along with their species, migrated to this land long ago. Neanderthals primarily lived in the west, while Denisovans inhabited the east. During their migration eastward, Neanderthals encountered Denisovans and possibly even our human ancestors, Homo sapiens. This is likely what led to the interspecies union between her father and mother. DNA analysis further revealed that the girl's Denisovan father had an ancient ancestor who was a Neanderthal, while her mother came from the Neanderthal group in Western Europe. Other evidence indicates that these two groups of people coexisted until about 40,000 years ago. Based on fossil evidence of species within the Homo genus, many previous studies have shown that these species interbred. Modern African DNA shows that people of African descent inherited a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA, while some African populations also carry a small amount of Denisovan DNA from Asia. This suggests that Homo sapiens, our species, once interbred with other human species. However, this is the first time scientists have found a direct 50-50 hybrid child between two different human species. Bense Viola, a member of the research team from the University of Toronto, Canada, explained that the remains found were pieces of long bone fragments, which allowed them to estimate the girl's age to be around 13 or a little older. 3,300-year-old hair. At a cemetery near the ancient city, now known as Amarna, archaeologists discovered many skeletons, one of which still had a complete head of hair with several intricately braided sections. It is known that during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, around 1353 to 1335 BCE, this area was considered the new capital of Egypt. Akhenaten was a reformist pharaoh who initiated a religious revolution, shifting worship from Ra, the sun god, to Aten, the sun disk, establishing monotheism in the process. The city of Amarna was abandoned shortly after Pharaoh Akhenaten's death. The Amarna project was initiated to study all aspects related to this ancient city, including the hairstyles of women during that time. One of the most interesting discoveries was the skull of a woman who lived 3,300 years ago. Her remains were not mummified, but were simply bones wrapped in a mat. Archaeologist Jolanda Boss noted that the woman had a very elaborate hairstyle with around 70 braids at various points on her head. However, it remains a mystery whether this hairstyle was created before burial or was part of her daily style. Additionally, Boss discovered other intriguing hairstyles. Some skulls had brown hair braided into loops around the ears, a popular style in Amarna at the time. One skull had hair extensions, but these extensions featured different hair colors, suggesting they were made from hair of various individuals. In some cases, fat was used to secure and style the hair. This archaeologist also speculated that hair dyeing might have been practiced during this time when she discovered a skull with gray hair that also had some orange-red hues. Researchers are still analyzing this dyed hair, but they believe it was dyed using henna, a plant-based material that has been used for hair dyeing for over 6,000 years. Notably, archaeologists found a wide variety of hairstyles among the 100 skulls discovered, 28 of which still had hair, ranging from short, curly black hair to mid-length straight brown hair. They believe this diversity could be due to differences between ethnic groups. Child sacrifices in a sacred cemetery. Archaeologists have recently uncovered evidence of tragic child sacrifices that were carried out to combat the effects of El Niño about 600 years ago. Specifically, this sorrowful cemetery contained 56 child skeletons, aged 11 to 14, and 30 young camel skeletons, dating from 1200 to 1400 AD. Other evidence suggests that this brutal ritual was performed to appease the gods and stop the floods caused by El Niño. The remains belong to the Chimu civilization, a pre-Incan culture that flourished but quickly declined in Peru, located in the Huanchaco district near the coastal city of Trujillo in northeast Peru. Professor John Verano, an anthropologist at Tulane University, USA, and a member of the research team, stated that there is substantial evidence showing that this is not just an ordinary children's cemetery, but rather the result of sacrificial rituals. Members of various Chimu social classes voluntarily sacrificed their children in hopes of placating the wrath of nature. These adolescents died simply wrapped in cloth without being buried in any ritualistic manner, reflecting the social classes of the time. Archaeologists discovered the first skeletons in early May. Additionally, in April, the remains of 140 children and 200 young camels were discovered just a few kilometers from the excavation site. Child sacrifice was a common ritual in many civilizations in Peru, including the famous Inca civilization. The Chimu civilization developed on the remnants of the Moche culture along the Peruvian coast from the first half of the 14th century. It was the largest empire in Peru until the Inca civilization emerged. They lived in a desert strip 30 to 160 kilometers wide between the Pacific Ocean and the Andes Mountains. This was a complex civilization with a deeply stratified society. They built many cities and large irrigation systems, and their survival relied primarily on agricultural production. 5,500-year-old city gate. Archaeologists in Israel made a remarkable discovery when they unearthed a 5,500-year-old city gate at Tel Irani. Unlike the typical mud brick constructions, this gate is a testament to ancient engineering, made from massive stones dating back to the early Bronze Age. With an impressive height of about 1.5 meters, the gate features a stone passage through the city walls, flanked by two sturdy stone watchtowers. The architectural structure of the gate has drawn the attention of archaeologists, especially because it exists alongside another gate built with the more common mud brick material, in line with the rest of the settlement. Upon careful analysis of pottery fragments found along the gate, archaeologists determined that both structures were in use during the same period. The ancient gate served a dual purpose, acting as both a defensive city wall and a symbol of political, social, and economic power during the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. This unification marked the end of the Bronze Age. This discovery is likely the first of its kind, as such a large gate from the early Bronze Age has never before been found, making it a significant historical find. The construction of the gate and walls required transporting stones from distant locations, as well as producing mud brick for the walls. The history of Tel Irani stretches back to the Paleolithic period, but settlement primarily took place during the Bronze Age. The presence of Bronze Age pottery provides insight into Tel Irani's active trade relations with neighboring regions like Negev and the Judean Desert. 2,500-year-old mummification workshop. Archaeologists have recently uncovered a 2,500-year-old mummification workshop at the Saqqara Cemetery near the ancient city of Memphis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the mummification workshop, archaeologists found bone fragments, bowls, cups, and various substances used in the mummification process. Digging another 30 meters down, they discovered burial chambers. Here, the archaeologists found 5 mummies, one of which had a gold mask with precious stones and wooden and stone coffins. Additionally, they discovered small Shabti figurines, meant to accompany the deceased to the afterlife. Archaeologists believe this important discovery may help experts better understand the types of oils used in the complex mummification process of ancient Egyptians during the 26th dynasty. Ramadan Hussein, leader of the German-Egyptian research team, stated that the discovery of this mummification workshop presents a golden opportunity to study the chemical composition of the embalming oils used. 6,000 ancient tombs beneath a park. While constructing a technology park in the southwest of Chengdu, Sichuan Province, China, a team of archaeologists accidentally uncovered more than 6,000 ancient tombs dating back to the Warring States period, 475 to 221 BCE, the Qin Dynasty, 221 to 207 BCE, the Han Dynasty, 202 BCE to 220 CE, the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, and the Qing Dynasty, 1636 to 1912. Most of the tombs were carved into small rock faces or built with bricks and contained tens of thousands of ceramic shards and stone artifacts. Alongside the tombs, the team also uncovered over 10,000 relics, including porcelain, bronze, jade, and glass items. There were also cultural artifacts such as gold-plated bronze knives, Buddhist statues, and small figurines. Based on the scale and design of the interior, the team believes the tombs may belong to aristocrats. However, many mysteries still remain in the excavation area, which require further investigation and analysis. According to Zhuo Jiqiang, a researcher from the Chengdu Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology, the discovery will help build a document on burial practices, rituals, and the concept of tombs during the late Han Dynasty and the Three Kingdoms period. 2,500-year-old gold necklaces. Sergio Marciandi, a worker for a local water company, accidentally discovered 2 gold necklaces among some rocks while working in Cavandi, Asturias, in the northwest of Spain. However, the necklaces had broken into several pieces. These necklaces are truly impressive and could help scientists learn more about the Iron Age, from around the 5th to 2nd century BCE. It is known that some gold necklaces from the Iron Age have been discovered, but most were found in the 18th or 19th centuries, when archaeological techniques were more limited. As a result, a significant amount of information about their origins was lost. In this case, the archaeological site remains intact, providing scientists with better context for the necklaces. The 2 necklaces show signs of wear at the points where they came into contact with the skin and clothing of the wearer, meaning they had been used. This type of necklace was typically associated with the elite, as not everyone could afford such jewelry at the time. Both necklaces showcase the exceptional skills of an ancient goldsmith, featuring techniques such as casting, repoussé, beadwork, soldering, and incorporating both aesthetic and geometric designs. However, dating the jewelry is difficult, but archaeologists believe it is no more than 2,500 years old. Local authorities have stated that this discovery is highly unusual given the quality and skill of the craftsmanship, and it opens up new avenues for research on one of the most iconic types of gold jewelry from the Iron Age. 2,300-year-old glass workshop. Archaeologists in the Czech Republic have unearthed the oldest known glass workshop, located in the Northern Alps, at a site that may have been used for ritual purposes. This is part of a settlement once known as Neamț, which was active throughout the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE, producing a variety of exquisite glass bracelets and beads. During the excavation, archaeologists also found over 2,000 gold and silver coins minted by the Celts living in continental Europe. indicating that this site was a trade center. Researchers discovered Nemesis in 2002, and subsequent surveys revealed sunken huts, bronze amulets, and scattered coins throughout the area. The coins suggest that Nemesis may have been part of the Amber Road, a vast network in Central Europe connecting the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean region. However, it was more than 20 years later that they found the glass workshop. Although glass-making tools were not found, researchers discovered a mix of finished and unfinished glass as well as amber items, which suggests these items were crafted locally, not imported. Notably, in addition to the artifacts, researchers found a square structure similar to ancient temples used for rituals, similar to a site called Sandburg in Austria, which was once occupied by the Celts. Ancient Persian City. In a statement on March 9th, the Israel Antiquities Authority reported that these ruins, located in what is now the city of Nahariya in northern Israel, include residential areas with buildings, streets, commercial zones, industrial sites, and places of worship. Among the items found were ceramic bowls, jugs, and various other objects brought by the Phoenicians, the ancient seafaring people from distant lands. Despite tensions between the Persian Empire and ancient Greece at the time, the residents of this city maintained trade relations with Greece through the Phoenicians, who dominated maritime trade in the eastern Mediterranean. Researchers found that both sides exchanged knowledge and construction techniques. Studies suggest that this was a multicultural city, combining Persian imperial organization with Greek-influenced construction techniques such as the use of concrete for a liquid processing facility in the industrial zone. This technique was not common in Persia at the time, but was adopted due to Greek influence in later periods. The 900-year-old skeleton beneath the birch tree. In the winter of 2015, a powerful storm unexpectedly uprooted a 215-year-old birch tree in Sligo, Ireland, and during this process, a human skeleton was discovered buried deep beneath its roots. This was a strange and surprising discovery, as the skeleton had been buried about 900 years ago during the medieval period. The upper part of the skeleton, including the spine and skull, was trapped in a tangle of tree roots, while the legs remained buried underground. The National Monument Service quickly authorized the Sligo Leitrim archaeological team to conduct an investigation. After nearly a year of research, the archaeologists announced important findings. Dr. Marion Dowd, the lead researcher, stated that this was an exceptionally unusual excavation. The skeleton had been dislodged from its grave and was caught in the tree roots, causing the bones to fracture. However, the skeleton remained largely intact due to the preservation efforts. Through their research, the scientists determined that this was the skeleton of a young man, aged between 17 and 20, who lived between the 11th and 13th centuries. Marks on the bones suggested that the victim had suffered violent abuse, with deep cuts on the ribs and hands, possibly indicating a chase or an attack. However, the archaeologists could not precisely determine if the cause of death was war or a personal dispute. Interestingly, the victim's height was approximately 1.78 meters, which was significantly taller than the average height of people from that era, suggesting he may have engaged in hard labor from a young age. The victim was buried according to Christian burial rites, with his hands crossed over his pelvis and the grave oriented east-west. However, the researchers did not find evidence of a large cemetery, suggesting he may have been buried separately. This excavation still holds many mysteries that require further study, and scientists continue to investigate the cause of death of this young man. Treasures in a 4,000-year-old tomb. In early 2024, Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities announced an important discovery at the Saqqara necropolis, where archaeologists uncovered an ancient stone-carved tomb dating back over 4,000 years. This tomb is believed to date from between 2649 and 2150 BCE and is located in an area containing many graves and artifacts from various historical periods. Saqqara is renowned as one of Egypt's oldest burial sites, located near the ancient capital of Memphis, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. During the excavation, the research team discovered numerous unique treasures, including ancient architectural features, a well-preserved tomb, and a variety of fascinating artifacts. One of the standout discoveries was the skeleton of an individual buried with a colorful mask, showcasing the exquisite craftsmanship of that era. Inside the tomb, archaeologists also found a coffin from the 18th dynasty, 1550 to 1295 BCE, which contained a well-preserved alabaster jar. Two prominent terracotta statues were also found in the tomb, including a statue of the goddess Isis, a symbol of funerary rites, and a statue of Harpocrates, the child god associated with silence and secrets during the Ptolemaic period. This discovery not only sheds light on the rich history of Saqqara, but also helps to unravel the mysteries of ancient Egyptian civilization. Such important archaeological discoveries further emphasize the value of Saqqara and promote Egypt's tourism and heritage conservation efforts. The toxic liquid beneath the Shroud of Bones. China is home to many ancient tombs with immense historical and cultural significance, particularly those of the ancient nobility. These tombs are often found scattered across the country, sometimes unexpectedly during construction or excavation work. Recently, a miner in Inner Mongolia accidentally discovered an ancient tomb while digging the earth. An archaeological team was immediately called to the site to begin excavation. However, upon opening the coffin, the archaeologists encountered a dangerous situation. The skeleton of a woman was covered by a layer of decayed fabric. To preserve its condition, they conducted an X-ray before gently lifting the fabric. As they did, a strange metallic-smelling liquid began to leak from the skeleton, causing panic among the team. An expert immediately warned them to withdraw. Later, a team member wearing special protective gear approached and took a sample of the liquid. The test results revealed that it was mercury, an extremely toxic substance. Mercury can cause severe poisoning symptoms such as pneumonia, shortness of breath, fever, and, with prolonged exposure, memory loss, seizures, and even death. However, mercury also has disinfectant and preservative properties, which is why it was used in ancient times to preserve corpses, prevent decomposition, and protect tombs from theft. Researchers believe that this ancient tomb belonged to a princess of the Liao dynasty, which ruled from 907 to 1125. Discovering a royal tomb in such well-preserved condition is extremely rare. This discovery brings to mind the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, which is believed to have contained a mercury river to protect the tomb from thieves. Despite modern excavation technology, experts still hesitate to excavate this tomb due to the mercury risks, highlighting the crucial role this toxic substance played in safeguarding historical secrets buried underground. The 18th century vampire face. Recently, archaeologists and experts from the Silver Spring Health Museum discovered the skeleton of a man in a coffin inscribed with the symbol JB55 in Connecticut, USA. They provided an unexpected and tragic explanation for the mystery surrounding this vampire skeleton. Previously, the man was given the nickname JB55 and was found buried with his skull and limbs stacked upon his chest, resembling the crossed bones of a pirate's skull, an ancient burial method for what people believe to be a vampire. A forensic examination traced back to the true identity of the 18th century vampire as a poor farmer named John Barber. The cause of death and the mystery behind his appearance, as well as those of others from that time, were also uncovered. A disease that caused their skin to become pale, their bodies emaciated, and their gums to recede, making their teeth appear elongated, with blood seeping from their mouths. According to DNA expert Jennifer Higginbotham from the U.S. Armed Forces Medical Examiner System, the disease in question was tuberculosis, one of the world's most frightening infectious diseases. However, with limited understanding in the 18th century, these unfortunate sufferers were perceived as transforming into vampires. In Barber's case, the disease had ravaged him to the point where it left traces on his ribs. According to the customs of the time, a vampire's heart was usually removed and cremated. However, Barber's heart may have been damaged by the disease by the time of his death. After his death and burial, his remains were exhumed and arranged in the manner scientists found him, as part of a ritual meant to seal the body in hopes of preventing the vampire from rising from the grave and attacking the living. The tomb full of gold of the exiled emperor. Liu Sha, the 9th emperor of the Han dynasty in China, reigned for only 27 days before being deposed by the Empress Dowager due to his decadent lifestyle. After his deposition, he was exiled and lived in a remote area, dying at the age of 33. His tomb is located in Jiangxi province. In 2011, archaeologists discovered Liu Sha's tomb, dating back to 74 BCE, and excavation is still ongoing. So far, over 20,000 treasures have been removed from the tomb, including many gold artifacts and valuable items. Preliminary research by the Jiangxi Provincial Institute of Cultural Heritage and Archaeology shows that despite his exile, Liu Sha possessed a vast fortune. Among the precious artifacts, archaeologists discovered a broken lacquered screen in the main chamber. After restoration, the screen revealed two portraits, one of which is believed to be the oldest portrait of Confucius. However, the most remarkable discovery was the finding of more than 5,000 bamboo strips inscribed with classical Confucian works, including a special version of the Analects of Confucius, a famous text that had been lost for thousands of years. This discovery is extremely important and holds significant value for the study of Confucianism and ancient Chinese culture. Scientists are continuing to use infrared rays to study these bamboo strips, hoping to uncover more details and valuable artifacts. These discoveries not only shed light on Liu Sha's life and legacy, but also help authenticate our understanding of ancient Chinese civilization. The ongoing excavation of Liu Sha's tomb is expected to provide more valuable information about the history, culture, and unsolved mysteries of this era. The over 2,000-year-old iPhone. In 2019, a team of archaeologists discovered a unique decorative object during an excavation in the Altai region of the Tuva Republic, Russia, an area often referred to as the Atlantis of Russia. During their research, the archaeologists uncovered a skeleton along with an object resembling a modern-day cell phone, dated to be over 2,137 years old. Specifically, the object had a rectangular shape, measuring 18 by 9 centimeters, and was made from dark gray material adorned with semi-precious stones such as turquoise, carnelian, and mother of pearl. Because the object resembled a modern iPhone, the archaeologists nicknamed it the iPhone, and its owner was humorously referred to as Natasha. However, experts were quick to point out that there could not have been an iPhone thousands of years ago, as the first iPhone was only released in 2007. The archaeologists suggested that the object was likely a women's belt buckle from that time period. Dr. Pavel Leus, a member of the archaeological team, stated, "The discovery of Natasha with her iPhone from the Xiongnu period is one of the most remarkable finds in this region." To determine the age of the object, the team found 5-coin currency from the Han Dynasty attached to the belt, confirming that the object was around 2,137 years old. The Altai region, located beneath the Sayan Reservoir, formed by the Sayano-Shushenskaya hydroelectric power station, is accessible to archaeologists when the water level lowers in the summer, revealing artifacts ranging from the Bronze Age to the time of Genghis Khan. This discovery has drawn significant attention and is regarded as a groundbreaking revelation about the culture and history of the Siberian region. The ghost ships, carrying millennia-old remains. Recently, archaeologists discovered 10 ghost ships during excavations at Kalvestein on the island of Yearold, Denmark. These ships, dating from 800 to 1050 CE, were found in close proximity to one another, remarkably matching an ancient illustration by Ole Worm, a 17th-century physician and natural historian. Worm's drawing depicts 2 Viking ship burial sites containing a total of 20 graves, although the second site remains a mystery. This is a significant discovery, as Viking burial traditions often involve the elite being buried in ships. These ships were not only vessels to carry the deceased to the afterlife, but also contained goods, tools, and valuable items that Vikings believed would be needed in the next world. Some nobles were even buried in long ships that could be several meters in length. These ships provide archaeologists with a deeper understanding of Viking life, especially their reverence for seafaring and their connection to the pirate economy and trade of valuable goods. The discovery also highlights the Vikings' strong connection to long sea voyages, as similar ghost ships have been found in other parts of Scandinavia. This further underscores the importance of the sea in Viking life and offers insight into their economy, which relied heavily on piracy and the trade of precious commodities. A larger excavation is planned, promising to yield valuable information about Viking civilization. The mysterious 1,600-year-old treasures in ancient tombs. Recently, the student dormitory construction project at the University of Cambridge, UK, became a monumental archaeological discovery when ancient Anglo-Saxon tombs dating back to 400 to 650 CE were uncovered. The findings were beyond imagination, revealing well-preserved ancient human remains buried with valuable burial items from the period, such as hairpins, bead necklaces, glass vessels, weapons, and pottery. Dating back 1,600 to 1,450 years, these artifacts are priceless. During the excavation, some structures from the Iron Age and Roman period, about 2,000 years ago, were also revealed. Dr. Caroline Goodson, a senior lecturer at the University of Cambridge, stated, "This excavation provides a wonderful opportunity to explore early medieval England, the interactions between this island nation and continental Europe, and to understand the way of life during that time." Like other archaeological discoveries in the UK, some items will be brought to the surface for study, while others will be preserved in place by backfilling, ensuring the ongoing construction above does not damage the archaeological treasures below. 254,200-year-old skeletons carved into mountain cliffs. A total of 250 tombs have been discovered in the Al-Hamadiyya Cemetery near Sohag in southern Egypt. These tombs were carved directly into the face of a mountain, which is why they have only recently been uncovered. According to Muhammad, head of the Central Department of Antiquities for Upper Egypt, the tombs contain many valuable artifacts dating from around 2,345 to 2,181 BCE, including ceramic fragments, intact clay vessels, gypsum, and various ritual objects. With this timeline, these artifacts are of extremely high value. The remote location of the cemetery seems to have helped protect the tombs from tomb robbers. The tombs were carved directly into the mountain rock, arranged in several rows. Scientists believe these tombs belonged to individuals who were not royalty, as evidenced by the smaller size of the burial chambers and the less extravagant grave goods compared to the luxurious tombs of nobility found underground. However, the complexity of the tombs, with their intricately designed burial chambers, suggests that the individuals buried here held some social status and were likely wealthy. The Al-Hamadiyya Cemetery is believed to be the final resting place of leaders and officials from the city of Akhmim, one of the most important administrative centers of ancient Egypt. This area was revered by the Egyptians as the Valley of the god Min, and burial here may have symbolized a belief in rebirth in the afterlife. Archaeologists who studied and analyzed the tombs found that some of the oldest on the cliff face date back as far as 4,200 years. The 5,400-year-old skeleton of a young girl. In 2015, scientists and archaeologists discovered the partial skeleton of a girl in the Marcel Lubens cave in Bologna, Italy. The remains were found high up on a vertical cliff face, and the skeleton was referred to as the isolated skull. According to Live Science, caves in ancient Italy were often used as collective burial sites, but the Marcel Lubens cave contained only this single skeleton. The archaeologists had to use a 12-meter artificial system to climb near the skull and then use a long pole to carefully excavate it. A years-long study led by Dr. Maria Giovanna from the University of Bologna revealed that the skull bore distinctive marks of a ritualistic ceremony. The analysis showed that the skull belonged to a girl who had died between the ages of 24 and 35. Some external damage to the bones indicated that soft tissue had been removed from the skull post-mortem, possibly as part of a complex burial ritual. Moreover, the damage to the skeleton, along with the way it appeared to be attached to the cave wall through an accumulation of ancient sediment, suggested that the skull had been swept away from its original burial site. Notably, the cave structure and surrounding materials, such as the flowstone, indicated that when the skull fell into the cave, it was still a sinkhole. Over 1,370 years, water washing into the sinkhole carried layers of sediment that gradually surrounded the skull, creating a flowstone shell. Eventually, a large cave formed beneath the sinkhole, expanding both horizontally and vertically, while the sinkhole's opening became covered. The collapse that formed this cave pushed the skull from the sinkhole into the main cave, where it became lodged high on the cave's wall, exposed just slightly against the wall. This is why the skeleton was found as though it were attached to the cave wall. A 2,000-year-old chariot found in an ancient fortress. An astonishing archaeological discovery has recently been made on Burrow Hill, near Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire, England, where archaeologists uncovered the remains of a bronze chariot dating back more than 2,000 years, from the Iron Age. The artifacts found include a wheel hub, decorative rings, straps, and a set of reins resembling a wine barrel. Experts believe these items could date back to the 2nd or 3rd century BC. Decoding these artifacts, experts suggest that they are the remains of a chariot that was burned and buried as a sacrificial offering in a religious ceremony. The remnants of the chariot were found on a layer of chaff and straw, which is believed to have been used as fuel for the fire ritual. Archaeologists hypothesize that this might have been part of a ritual performed before dismantling or destroying a house in the fortress area, or to mark the changing of seasons. According to the archaeologists, the chariot likely belonged to a person of high social status, possibly a noble or a warrior. Jeremy Taylor, an archaeologist from the University of Leicestershire, said, "This is the biggest discovery we've made at Burrow Hill after 5 years of searching here. It's very rare that we make discoveries like this." After cleaning the surrounding soil and rocks, decorative details were revealed, with a three-pronged motif branching out from a central point, similar to the design on the flag of the Isle of Man, an island in the Irish Sea. The Cemetery of Mummies with Grinning Skulls. In the barren desert of Peru, just 30 kilometers from the city of Nazca, there lies a strange ancient cemetery where the skeletons seem to always bear wide, grinning smiles. This is the Chowchilla Cemetery, where dry ancient bones have been preserved for over 1,000 years, and each time it is mentioned, locals shudder. This cemetery, belonging to the famous Nazca civilization, was discovered in the early 20th century but still holds many unsolved mysteries. Archaeologists believe that the Chowchilla Cemetery began to take shape in the 9th century, where the indigenous Nazca people buried their deceased in a special ritual. What is unusual is that the skeletons were not only buried sitting upright, but were also manipulated to create wide, grinning smiles, a phenomenon that remains unexplained. Furthermore, the hair on these skeletons remains intact and soft after more than 1,000 years, leaving scientists puzzled. They speculate that the dry, hot climate of the Nazca Desert played a role in preserving the bodies so well, despite the lack of mummification techniques. The Nazca civilization, known for its fascinating geometric symbols on the ground and unique artwork, flourished from around 100 to 800 BC. However, this civilization silently disappeared without leaving a clear explanation. One hypothesis suggests that desertification and climate changes may have contributed to the decline of the civilization. The Chowchilla Cemetery was buried under desert sand for centuries until excavations in the 20th century brought the mysterious grinning skeletons to light. Despite repeated tomb robberies that have stripped most of the treasures, Chowchilla remains a mysterious site that continues to capture the attention of archaeologists. Each grinning skeleton is a reminder of a mysterious culture, with religious rituals that the modern world still cannot fully explain. Skeletons covered in precious jade in ancient tombs. In the city of Xi'an, Shanxi Province, China, an international team of archaeologists led by the Xi'an Institute of Cultural Heritage and Archaeology has made a simultaneous discovery of 27 mysterious ancient tombs. These tombs are not only priceless treasures from a historical perspective, but also contain many special burial items that reflect the wealth and high status of their former owners. Among the 27 tombs, 4 large ones stand out, featuring clothing made from 2,200 pieces of jade, creating a mysterious and luxurious appearance. Archaeologists believe these are the final resting places of important figures, possibly nobles or high-ranking warriors from that time. This shows the level of respect and reverence that ancient society had for powerful individuals. The most remarkable burial items are small ceramic statues, which could hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the tomb owners. Scientists hope these statues will help them learn more about the life, culture, and beliefs of people who lived around 2,000 years ago, during the Han Dynasty. The ancient tombs are estimated to date back to about 2,000 years, to the time of the Han Dynasty. The Silk Road, which began in China at the time, stretched 6,400 kilometers, crossing landmarks such as the Taklamakan Desert, the Pamir Mountains, Afghanistan, the Levant, and the Mediterranean Sea. This route was used to export silk to the west and to bring wool, gold, and silver from the west to the east. Although the excavation of these 27 tombs is still in its early stages, archaeologists hope that a comprehensive excavation will provide more insight into burial customs and rituals of this period. Of course, this is not the first time a jade outfit has been found in ancient Chinese tombs. A similar outfit was previously discovered in the Western Han tombs, Yingcheng, Henan. These discoveries will undoubtedly continue to be crucial pieces in the puzzle of ancient Chinese history and culture. The 2,400-year-old tomb, full of mummies. In February 2019, a groundbreaking archaeological discovery was made south of Cairo, Egypt. Experts uncovered a tomb containing up to 50 mummies, believed to date back 2,400 years. This is one of the most important discoveries, found inside 4 burial chambers in the Tuna El Gebel archaeological site. What's fascinating is that among these mummies, 12 are children, a detail that has puzzled researchers. While the identities of these individuals have not been determined, experts speculate that they could have been important figures holding prestigious positions in society during the Ptolemaic, early Roman, or Byzantine periods. According to Mostafa Waziri, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt, a notable point is that no names were found written in hieroglyphics. Additionally, some mummies were buried as deep as 9 meters and were carefully preserved with linen, while others were in stone coffins or wooden sarcophagi, further fueling curiosity and mystery about their identities and the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Why did they die? And how have their mummified bodies remained so well preserved, despite having been buried for over 2,000 years? The giant wheel on the plateau. Hidden amidst the arid plains of the Golan Heights near the Sea of Galilee in Israel, the Rujim el-Hiri megalithic structure remains an unsolved mystery that has puzzled researchers for decades. Built with massive stones, this structure is likened to a giant wheel with at least 5 concentric rings surrounding a central stone mound. The name of the structure itself reflects its mysterious nature. Rujim el-Hiri in Arabic means the stone heap of wild cats, while in Hebrew it is called Gigel Rephaim, or the Wheel of the Giants, associated with the biblical Rephaim giants. This structure dates back approximately 5,000 years, built during the early Bronze Age, around 3000–2700 BC. Remarkably, it coexists with the famous Stonehenge monument in England, which further intrigues scientists about its purpose and the people who built it. The structure is composed of around 40,000 tons of black basalt stones, forming giant circles with diameters exceeding 152 meters and heights ranging from 1 to 2.5 meters. These stone circles are incomplete, connected by short walls, forming spokes resembling a giant wheel. Additionally, a notable feature of Rujim el-Hiri is the stone mound at its center, which stands 5 meters high with a diameter between 20 and 25 meters. It is believed to be a burial site, but no human remains have been found. One hypothesis suggests that instead of direct burial, the remains may have been processed by birds or wild animals, then gathered and placed in boxes. Although few artifacts have been found, scientists believe that jewelry and weapons were once stored in the stone mound. Another theory posits that Rujim el-Hiri may have been built for astronomical purposes. Time-traveling watch in an ancient tomb. In 2008, a team of archaeologists and journalists were working on a documentary at a tomb from the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. The tomb, located in Shaanxi, a county in Guangxi Province, China, yielded a surprising discovery during excavation. Experts found an unidentified object inside the sealed tomb. Initially, they thought it was a ring. However, after cleaning the object, they realized it was a watch ring. Strangely, the object was about 2 mm thick and had a face resembling that of a watch. The hands were frozen at 10:06, and the back of the watch had the word Swiss engraved on it, along with the inscription Philip Melanchthon, 1530 beneath it. Scientists were baffled as to why Swiss was engraved in English, considering that during that time, the Swiss only used French and German. Moreover, archaeologists confirmed that the tomb had remained completely intact and had never been opened since it was sealed over 400 years ago during the Ming Dynasty. Switzerland, as a nation, didn't exist until 1848, as it was still the Swiss Confederation before then. So, why did this watch appear in a Ming tomb? Archaeologists raised the question, could the watch have time-traveled to another era? A heated debate ensued, and many hypotheses were proposed. The most widely accepted theory is that the watch ring was placed in the tomb in an unconventional manner. They suggested that if the watch ring had belonged to the tomb's owner, it would have been worn by that person. Additionally, during the Ming Dynasty, watches hadn't yet been invented, so whoever owned it would likely have cherished it as a valuable funerary item. However, since the watch was found outside the coffin, it indicates that it was likely an accidental find within the tomb. Historical records mention that in 1558, Queen Elizabeth I owned a rudimentary watch ring. In 1755, a watchmaker named Karen created the first buttoned watch ring in Paris. This indicates that watch rings had been produced for quite some time, but considering the timeline, it's impossible for one to have existed during the Ming Dynasty. Therefore, another hypothesis suggests that the watch ring might have belonged to a tomb raider who had previously broken into the tomb and dropped it while rummaging around the coffin. Some experts also propose that an animal, like a rat, might have found the watch and carried it into the tomb. Although several possibilities have been suggested, the true origins of the Swiss watch in the Ming Dynasty tomb remain an unresolved mystery, making it one of the most puzzling archaeological discoveries in China. Ancient Royal Castle. Recently, archaeologists uncovered rare remnants of an ancient royal residence in Jerusalem. The discovery included several soft limestone artifacts with intricate carvings, representing an architectural style known as Proto-Aeolian, one of the most significant styles of the First Temple period, which spanned from 1000 to 586 BCE. In addition to the carved stone capitals, archaeologists found luxurious window frames and railings. While the capitals were well preserved, unfortunately, the rest of the building was destroyed thousands of years ago. Archaeologists suspect it was likely destroyed during the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BCE. Researchers are also uncertain who occupied the ancient residence, but it could have been one of the kings of Judah or a noble family. The boldness and grandeur of the stone architectural features are considered evidence of Jerusalem's recovery after the Assyrian siege of the city in 701 BCE. They also indicate that, by the time the castle was built, the city's residents and their buildings were no longer confined within defensive walls. Mongol warship wreck. In the 13th century, Kublai Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan and founder of the Yuan dynasty, sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers across the sea to invade Japan in an effort to expand his empire in 1274 and 1281. According to historical records, during both invasions of Japan, Kublai Khan mobilized 4,000 warships and 140,000 soldiers. However, during both campaigns, the Mongol warships encountered powerful storms and thousands of ships sank. Japanese historical texts describe the two storms as kamikaze, divine winds, as the people of Japan believed the storms were sent by the gods to destroy the invading forces. Recently, divers discovered the wreck of a Mongol warship in a bay near the city of Matsura, on the western coast of Kyushu Island in Japan. The ship, which is 20 meters long and 7 meters wide, is believed to have sunk while trying to avoid the storm. The ship's design, along with the 13th century porcelain artifacts found nearby, led the research team to believe it was part of the invasion fleet. Atsuyuki Nakata, a cultural official from the city of Matsura, revealed that the shipwreck is remarkably well preserved, with many porcelain pieces, including a white vase and a bowl, found around it. The team aims to study the wreck to learn about the materials used by the Mongols 730 years ago, as well as their shipbuilding techniques. This is the third Mongol warship wreck discovered from the invasions of Japan. World's largest ancient underground city. The region of Cappadocia in central Turkey is home to some of the most stunning landscapes in the world, with deep valleys, steep cliffs, and ancient dwellings, churches, tombs, and underground cities carved harmoniously into the natural terrain. Recently, Turkish archaeologists uncovered another massive underground city, consisting of at least 7 kilometers of tunnels, churches, and corridors dating back about 5,000 years. The ancient city was found beneath the Nevşehir fortress and its surrounding area during an urban development project. Around 1,500 buildings were destroyed in and around the Nevşehir fortress, and the underground city was discovered during excavation for new construction. Nevşehir province is famous for the incredible underground city of Derinkuyu, which once housed about 20,000 residents. Derinkuyu is 11 levels deep, with 600 entrances and miles of tunnels connecting to other cities. The city includes sleeping quarters, stables, wells, water storage tanks, cooking pits, ventilation shafts, communal rooms, baths, and burial areas. To date, researchers have found over 40 artifacts in the tunnels, leading experts to believe that the city beneath Nevşehir is one-third larger than Derinkuyu. The ancient city of Nevşehir was discovered 2 years ago when workers identified the entrance to a tunnel and an underground room system during demolition for a new housing project. Scientists have found a complete settlement with kitchens, a wine production facility, water channels, chapels, ventilation shafts, and more. They believe the city could date back to the time of the Eastern Roman Empire. 3,000-year-old beehives. Archaeologists working in northern Israel have recently uncovered vivid evidence of an ancient beekeeping industry, including honeycombs, hives, and what is referred to as the oldest beehives in the world. The excavation, conducted in the ruins of the city of Rehov, revealed 30 almost intact beehives dating back to around 900 BCE. These findings are unique and provide evidence that the beekeeping industry existed and flourished in the Holy Land during the time the Bible was written. Beekeeping seems to have played an important role, as honey was used both as a medicinal remedy and as a nutritious food, while beeswax was used for molding. Although beekeeping is not an uncommon profession in historical records, evidence of it in Rehov had never been discovered before. According to Professor Mazar, the artificial beehives were made from straw and unbaked clay, with a hole at one end for the bees to enter and exit, and a lid at the other end so the beekeeper could reach inside and collect the honeycombs. The hives were neatly arranged in 3 separate rows in a large room, capable of holding hundreds of hives. This discovery confirms that beekeeping was a highly developed industry, part of a well-organized economy. The mysterious blood jade. In the 1980s, while working the fields in Mao Mountain, Jiangsu Province, China, a farmer accidentally came across an ancient tomb. He immediately notified the authorities, and archaeologists came to the site to carry out an excavation. According to experts, the tomb in Mao Mountain had a fairly simple structure and small size. Inside, there were many artifacts, though not particularly rare or valuable. However, as the excavation was nearing its end, one of the team members unexpectedly found an artifact that was red in color. After cleaning off the dirt and dust, it was revealed to be a round, smooth piece of red jade about the size of an egg. This discovery sparked curiosity about whom the red jade belonged to and its origin. After further research and investigation of historical records, experts confirmed that it was a piece of blood jade. In ancient times, wealthy individuals, officials, nobles, and royalty would carry a piece of jade for good fortune, protection, and to ward off evil spirits. However, blood jade was reserved for the dead. After a person passed away, their family would place a piece of jade in the deceased's mouth, and over time, the jade would turn red like blood. According to folklore, anyone who dared to remove the blood jade from a corpse would face bad luck and even tragic consequences. Taoist legends also mention the magical properties of blood jade, claiming that it could not only repel evil spirits, but also be used as a tool for exorcism by powerful spiritual leaders. However, this remains purely legendary, and to date, scientists have been unable to find scientific evidence to confirm whether blood jade has the properties described in these ancient tales. Thus, the mystery of blood jade remains unsolved to this day. Recent archaeological discoveries have greatly surprised archaeologists and opened up many new hypotheses about human history. From strange cemeteries in Peru and ancient ruins in Turkey to mysterious structures on highlands, each discovery offers valuable clues about ancient civilizations. These findings not only enrich the treasure trove of human knowledge, but also spark curiosity and continuous exploration by future researchers. What about you? Which discovery impressed you the most? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Now, Goodbye, and see you again soon.